What are your thoughts? Michigan, Ohio State Saturday. What'd you make of it?
It's just one of the, it was a game where it was a tale of two halves. The first half, Michigan was able to hang in there and really kind of put the pressure on Ohio State because they threw the football downfield, and Ohio State just had, for whatever reason, they just refused to cover. I'm not sure what it was, but hey, when you got guys that are 10 yards open, you better hit them, and JJ did, and they took advantage of that situation, and it was great. But I think the broadcasters did a good. And I'm sorry, Doug. I actually listened to Joel Klein. I didn't think I would. One of the guys said on TV, I don't know if it was Joel or Gus, but said that Ohio State is playing tight, and I could not agree more. They played so tight, there was so much pressure on them, and they couldn't handle it. And then the second half comes around, and Michigan decides we're going to run the ball, but but we're starting with letting JJ run the ball. And that was the thing there are two things happened in that game that Michigan fans have been calling for all year. Throw it downfield, and they did, but guys were wide open, so that's why you do it. And then let JJ make plays with his feet. And he did. He set the tone for it, and that just sets the stage, and then now you got to worry about him, and you're not worried about this. And next thing you know, Donovan Edwards goes off and just completely breaks their will with a couple of long touchdown runs at the game. I mean, there's a number of just huge plays in that game, and the play by Sainristil on in the corner of the end zone to knock the ball out of the hands of the Ohio State tight end who couldn't hang on because Sainristil knocked it out. That's just a great play, and there were plays like that all over the place for Michigan. And I'm watching this game with an eye on C.J. Stroud, and I'm asking myself, okay, if the Lions have like the third or fourth pick in the draft and C.J. Stroud is there, do I want him? And that game was a definitive hard no. I'll pass.
Oh,
absolutely, I would pass, and it's because I think he's very good at it when he throws the football. I think he's very good, but I don't think he has the other things you need. First of all, he got rattled, and he can't afford to get rattled. And the other thing is, he's immobile. He is absolutely immobile. And if I'm going to move on from Jared Goff, I need somebody who can run a little bit, and he can't, not even a little bit. And it's just not good enough. And he wasn't good enough. Ryan Day wasn't good enough. And it almost feels like this game is more of a referendum on what Ohio State is rather than what Michigan's season is continuing to be, which is a little unfair to Michigan because Michigan went out there in 2 years in a row. They handed it to Ohio State. And that's a 3-touchdown win at that place. It was an impressive victory for the Wolverines.
Yeah, it's the first time a team has won there since Michigan State did it in 2015. I saw somewhere, but I haven't seen exactly what it was, that it was the worst Ohio State home loss since the 70s. And I got to tell you,
I think since 1976, I think is what I saw.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so Michigan's defense kept them in the game when Ohio State could have opened up a huge lead early. I mean, I think Ohio State had a chance early to open up a huge lead, and Michigan's defense and Jesse Minter, the new defensive coordinator, and there was some real question, right? They lost both their coordinators, and Jim Harbaugh goes out and gets a guy that comes from the same system as Mike McDonald so they can just keep the train on the tracks. He elevates Matt Weiss, Sharon Moore to co-offensive coordinator with Josh Gaddis leaving, although Sharon Moore was a co-offensive coordinator last year, but he elevates Coach Weiss. And they put together a game plan that worked. That game was filled with all kind of little subtleties that in the end, when they added up, made a difference, including what in retrospect, Gator, is a colossal mistake by Ohio State that I don't think anybody noticed until Harbaugh made a mention of it yesterday. There was a Big Ten teleconference previewing the Big Ten championship game, and there wasn't a lot of local media on this call. I happened to just log on and listen to it and start preparations for Purdue. But Harbaugh said something, and I think he is spot on about a colossal mistake made by Ohio State that could have changed the game. But we will get to that coming up today at 10:20. 248-539-9797.
It would also look like a little bit, at least in the first half, that game was kind of reminiscent of the Michigan-Penn State game, where Michigan played the role of Penn State. They didn't do much in the first half. They had a couple of giant plays,
Yep.
Those giant plays got home, and that's what Penn State did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Penn State did nothing. They had whatever it was, 3 first downs in the first half. What Michigan have 4?
Something like that.
Yeah.
They had 10 yards rushing, and
Yeah, they just couldn't do anything except for like 2 giant plays, and their defense kept them in it, like you said, because they forced Ohio State into field goal opportunities. And you're not going to win that game if you're kicking field goals. You need to get 7.
And the fourth down stop with Stover, the tight end, 8. He had plays that he could have made.
Yeah, he didn't have a very good day.
No, he didn't. But if you look at Harrell was there to help break that up, and Sane Ristel's play in the end zone on Stover, those were. I mean, again, an accumulation of subtleties, and at the end of it, Michigan pulls away in a hostile environment that I will tell you, it was amazing how quiet it got. And Gator, you know what a snake pit that place is. You've been down there. People have been down there. It can be extraordinarily loud. And Michigan got it done in the most hostile environment. So